An epic Bitcoin and crypto crash could be coming. Maybe. I want to start off by saying, I know you guys are seeing the title, and I know what I just said. Watch the whole video. The title and what I just said is not necessarily the opinion of the Investing Bros channel, but it is the opinion of an analyst who has actually gotten a decent amount of details correct, although there's some things that are happening within his analysis that I think are a little faulty. But this is a call that I've actually heard a lot of people with this same opinion. I'm going to talk about what I think of this prediction. We're going to take a look at the charts and to show you what you should be looking for. However, I do want to bring it to your attention. I believe that every opinion and every idea deserves to see some light. And here's the thing, even though I'm not going to agree with everything that this analyst says, if he turns out to be true, you do not want to have this come out of nowhere. You want to be prepared, because one of the worst things that can happen is when your plan fails a little bit. If you have no backup plan, if you were not prepared whatsoever for either a ridiculous rally or a ridiculous crash, you need to go ahead and adjust yourself so you have a plan for the just what if. So what if this crash happens? How are you going to react to it, even if you don't think it's going to happen? Let's start off by taking a look at this article talking about this. Now, this is an analyst that I've never heard of before, and it turns out he's really more of an analyst on TradingView. I don't know if he's an influencer. I don't think he has like a YouTube channel or anything, but he is predicting a Bitcoin and crypto market crash of epic proportions, and here is what it looks like. Let's go ahead and zoom in here just a little more so you guys can see this a little better. A crypto analyst who goes by Shelby on TradingView. So again, I've never heard of him. Doesn't mean that he's not really great. He makes a crazy accusation here, crazy prediction. He starts out with expectations. This is from back on October 24th. The crazy expectations of a price rally for Ethereum to $32,000. Now, again, I know he's going to predict crashes, but that's pretty bullish. And I've seen other people making this call. And what we've seen from Ethereum here recently, especially yesterday with this news that BlackRock is filing for an ETF, this might just well happen. However, he then predicts a breakdown to $200 to $600. That's a little bit of range, but that's a very low range. A follow-up comment. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Follow-up comment shows the expectation for ETH to actually reach $2,100. That just happened yesterday. Or, in special circumstances, reach $3,200 while Bitcoin runs up to $36,000. Well, we're above that now, but interesting he talks about $2,100 at $36,000. That's pretty close analysis right there. This is where he's really off. If the ETH Bitcoin pair reaches 0.088 Bitcoin, he's predicting that 3,200 could happen. And technically his math is right. We're nowhere close to 0.088. We're at like 0.05 something. But the second part of this has since played out in that Bitcoin price has now crossed 36,000, but Ethereum continues to lag behind or below 2,000. I think this article was written yesterday, right before the big rally on Ethereum where we actually did hit 2,100. Let's keep reading, though, because I want to get this all unpacked, and then we're going to go to the charts and we're going to break this down. This bullishness ends in 2023, however, as the analyst expects a crash to happen sometime between Q1 and Q2 of 2024. They liken the crash to the early 2020 crash that sent crypto rallies spiraling to new lows before the bull market began. We're going to address that because that's really hard to predict a repeat of 2020, and I'll explain why here in a couple of minutes. The price targets for this predicted crash would see the likes of Bitcoin and Ethereum fall more than 50% from their current levels. For Bitcoin, the analyst puts it at sub 15,000. So let's start right there, guys. Quick math. I mean, it'd have to be more than 50% because 50% for Bitcoin at the time of shooting this video, 37,000. That's not 15. That's not 15,000 whatsoever. That is 18.5. Still low. Still way lower than I think it's going to go, but not below 15,000. So he would need to see more than a 50% crash on Bitcoin. I don't know if that's going to happen. And for the first half of 2024 in Ethereum, a sub 500, still sitting in that 200 to 600 prediction he gave. However, it is not all gloom as the crypto analyst expects both assets to rally quite well leading up to 2025. Given my expectation is Bitcoin will top 70K in 2025, Ethereum perhaps will top 5 to 10K. So buying altcoins in the looming crash will end up being very lucrative. Now, we're going to go get to the charts here in a second, but I think that should be part of what you're looking at right here. It sounds like Shelby. He's bullish on new highs, but he's not really bullish. He said we'll top 70K. Well, So is he saying 75? Is he saying 80? Is he saying 71? Like, he's not really that bullish on Bitcoin. And ETH getting to 5 to 10K, you get closer to that 10K level, you're starting to get a little bullish here, but topping 5K, that's not really that special whatsoever. So you got to understand, Shelby does not have high hopes for this bull market to begin with. So when he is expecting or predicting this colossal crash, you got to understand we're working with the mind of a guy who's extremely negative and bearish to begin with. Maybe not the likes of like the $3,000 Bitcoin price bears, but he's still pretty bearish as a whole. And let's start to break down some of the things that he talks about here. Let's go ahead and go over to the charts and look at it. Now, first thing I want to just address, we're, again, back up this morning on Bitcoin. I do want to point out here, because I made a video yesterday where I talked about if we broke above these lines, first of all, this bull flag resistance, and then a long time, this green line right here, long time resistance level, that there's a good chance we could make a push above 40,000, maybe even make a push towards 46,000, give or take. We did quickly yesterday break above there, but there was a short squeeze setting us high, and then a flippening. When we touched 38,000 yesterday morning, a flip happened. A lot of longs got liquidated. We crashed all the way down back below 36,000, but now you guys can see after kind of recuperating, people asked, why did we crash yesterday? It was not because people wanted to sell a lot. It was because longs got liquidated by traders who know what they're doing. But the buying pressure is still there. And breaking back through the resistance and now using it as support, you can see if you go lower and lower, we broke through this morning and have come back retesting this red line as support. This is bullish, and Bitcoin is looking to make another push to the upside. That's just what I want to talk about here for the short term. Let's take a look at this more longer term prediction. Now, like I said, I still think what we're seeing happen right here, I told you guys yesterday, bull flag pattern could see us go all the way up here towards that $46,000 price action right there. If that's not, if that's not as high as we can get, if we get stopped out a little before that, let's take a look at our fixed range volume profile. I think that you easily could see us at least get up here to this peak here at 38.8 or 38.5, give or take, in that range. But in reality, the valleys are where I see more rejections happen. So the valleys that sit above us at the moment, we're sitting in one at the moment. If we push this rally, 40,000 is the next valley, and then the most significant one after that is that $46,000 price level we talked about with the bull flag. Let's discuss this idea of the epic crash happening. He is saying that the bottom is not in, we're going lower. I disagree. I disagree immensely. And you guys know, if you've been watching the channel, I was one that I thought we were going to play out a head and shoulders pattern that would send us down to or right about at $20,000, maybe a little bit lower. But I did not even back then predict a new low for Bitcoin. Well, since we've blown through the $32,000 resistance level, since we've created this bull flag and the bulls just keep getting more and more potent every single day, my new analysis is that I think that it would be a glorious thing if we ever saw a $25,000 Bitcoin again for the sake of purchasing. I would love to buy more Bitcoin at $25,000. I don't know if that's doable. In fact, unless something catastrophic happens in the news, I think it's going to be really hard for Bitcoin to ever get back below $30,000. But here is the thing. I do think a dip is coming. Do I think an epic crash is coming? No. I think a dip is coming. I think a retracement is coming. So whether we have it right now, let's just talk about this. Right now, if we retraced from that $38,000 price we got to yesterday and we came down towards $30,000, that's still an 18% dip. If we make a move up here towards 40,000, that's going to be closer towards a 24, 25% dip. And if we make it to where I think we could, up here towards 45, that would still be a 32% dip. Now, why am I only talking about 32? Even best case scenario, let's say we get to that 45 and we do make a move down here towards 25, 45% dip. To me, the reason why that is pretty much the furthest we can go is based off of the prediction that was made by this analyst. Now, let's go look at what he's talking about. Remember, he talked about predicting a move similar to what we saw in 2020. Now, I want to start by saying, why can you not say that you are expecting a repeat of 2020? Well, 2020 was the COVID crash. What do we call that? We call it a black swan event. You cannot predict black swans. That's the whole purpose of them. If we can predict that the economy is about to crash, or we can predict that the wars over on the other side of the planet, I'm in here in the United States, but the other side of the planet, if those wars escalate, well, we just predicted them. That's not a black swan event. The price will start to work in. Something has to take us by surprise. COVID, the shutdowns happen that fast took us by surprise, and it created a colossal crash after rallying back up here to above $10,000. This did give us a nice 63% pullback. I don't think that's going to happen. I think, and I've told you guys here in more recent videos, that what we're actually looking at right now is I think that we're repeating a cycle that's not quite perfectly 4 years ago. It's a little more than 4 years ago, but all of this action right here in May and June of 2019, I believe we're somewhere in this range. I don't know if we have to have this decent little 15% pullback or not, but I think we're going to make one more high, and then I think we could see something like this happen and play out. We ended up dipping 53%. So now you might be wondering, Tim, didn't you just say you don't think we're going to dip 53%? I'll explain to you why I think that this is a doable repeat, but I don't think 50% is going to happen. Let's start off by just looking at how the markets rallied back then. First of all, market cap way lower. We're talking about price actions of $3,000 and $13,000. We haven't even hit that in this bear market. So it's a lot easier to make bigger moves when the prices and the market caps are lower. Bitcoin, after bottoming out way back here in December of 18, rallied 340%. 340%. Over those months from December 18 all the way to June of 2019, right? Explosive rally. And then it fell 50%, that 53% we talked about. Well, let's just go over here and look. Let's just pretend that I'm right, that we do get up to $45,000 from the low we had back here when November of 2022. That is only a 200% rally, not even quite 200%. Even if we went to 50, let's say we went to 50,000, which is definitely possible, we're still only talking about a 225, 226% rally, right? Well, if we're not going to get the same explosive rally that we had back in 2019, wouldn't you also imagine that the pullback shouldn't be as explosive either? Also, what I want to point out to you is, where did we pull back when we pulled back that 50%? Well, let's go back and look at the fall of 2018, 2019. You can notice right here, after bottoming out and kind of looking at this level right here around 6,000 up here towards 6,500, notice that we kind of hesitated and had a big drop into our final bottom, right? And then it turns out during that 53% pullback, that's exactly where we went back down to. So we went to a former resistance level, turned it into support, and yes, of course, COVID took us lower, but again, Black Swan event, not going to talk about it. You can't predict those. Those just happen or they don't happen. Well, let's go back over here. You want to talk about a Black Swan event? I think the Black Swan event that we have to discuss here would need to be this one right here. FTX, while some people did see it happening, and some people said, hey, watch out for FTX, we don't trust this, nobody expected the news to escalate that quickly and for things to fall apart. With that said, I think that in reality, Bitcoin's bottom was going to be right here in this 17,600, $18,000 region. This really should have been a bottom of the bear market. Well, where was the last level of resistance before that? You can make an argument either for up here at 32,000 or the argument for 25,000. What's my point here? Well, if we repeat a similar situation like we did back in 2019, again, we rally out of the bear market, we had these explosive pushes to the upside. Well, if our explosive pushes end here at 45,000, a pullback down to what were those two levels I talked about? Either first, 32, 31,000, that kind of range right in there, 31% pullback, or we go really bad with it and we go 45 down to the $25,000 range, which again was the resistance back here in August of 2022. To me, that is mimicking, when this expert makes this prediction of mimicking 2019, 2020 area, that's the mimic here. That's the repeat, not lower than 15,000. And this, of course, is me just talking about Bitcoin. Let's go take a look at Ethereum. First of all, back then, Ethereum was still an inflationary proof of work system, meaning that they kept creating more and more supply. And of course, as supply goes up, even if demand just matches it, the price stays the same. You need demand to continue to increase. Well, with this recent news we had yesterday about BlackRock now filing for their ETF, and some people are predicting that they're going to get denied. I don't know. BlackRock, they win against the SEC. They don't lose. So in my mind, I think that this is a matter of when, not if, for the ETF. But we also saw Ethereum go back to being deflationary. So supply coming out, going down. Demand has a massive reason to increase. I don't see Ethereum, guys. I think worst case scenario, I put a level down here towards 1,100 here a while ago. That's the price levels we had back in December 2022. With this recent news and recent breakout of price action, I think that the worst case scenario, let's say here with Ethereum, we are able to get to a $32,000 level. Let's put this up here. 3,200. I said 30,000. 3,200. Let's say we get all the way to that level. Let's talk about what a pullback would look like. $500 he talks about, that would be a level somewhere around an 83% pullback. I do not see an 83% pullback happening. In fact, I think the first level you're really looking at is, in fact, 2,000, as that has been a very strong level of resistance throughout this bear market that I do think we could pull back and turn support right there. That would be a 36% dip. And then, like I said, worst case scenario, that's like Bitcoin returning to 31, 32,000. If we saw like a Bitcoin situation where we drop back down to 25, now we're talking about potentially a 50% dip back down to about 1,500, give or take, for Ethereum. That is not the colossal breakdown that this person is expecting. And yet, if you look back at history and you look at the time periods he's talking about, I think these are the more realistic expectations. But those rallies, I don't think that those are quite over. Here's the thing, though. That is just my opinion. Shelby gives his opinion. I give my opinion. We both have our reasons for it. What do you think that Ethereum, Bitcoin, and crypto can do? Do we see new lows coming for every single crypto? Do we see a colossal crash coming? Or are we seeing a period where we continue to rally during this bull trend? We pull back, setting higher lows because the bull market is going to get explosive here in about a year. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, go ahead and smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single one of our videos. We are posting multiple times throughout the day to keep you guys updated with everything you need to know for your investing journey so you can make that decision for yourself. But with that said, guys, that's all I have for you in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.